Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pixar's Brave.
Creek,
The,
creek,
talk about that incredibly inappropriate. If there's one thing this movie is not, it's Brave.
What are you
Have we
saying?
done a Pixar movie on the channel before?
Yes, we did Onward Webs.
Oh yeah,
Just
Onward.
recently, actually. So,
Basically, folks, the story of Pixar is an interesting one. When they first started out, they were known as paragons of the film industry and animation galore. It was a very momentous day when Disney eventually bought them from under Steve Jobs' company, not too long before Steve Jobs sadly passed away. The point is, Pixar was a very big company and were on top of their game. That is until DreamWorks started to challenge them, and then would eventually surpass them for a bit, in which Pixar fell into a bit of a slump. Cars was fine,
Yeah.
but wasn't the best. Cars 2 sucked, and that's all the rest. And then, well, to put things to the test, there was a bevy of mutts that caused a lot of unrest. There was Monsters University, which was not the worst thing ever, and did have a very good third act, but unfortunately as a prequel doesn't work out that well. There was Cars 3, which I hate with a burning passion here and there. There was The Good Dinosaur, which I will apologize and understand if you completely forgot about The Good Dinosaur. But, hey, here was a way to totally get them reinvigorated, having them make their own contribution to the Disney Princess franchise. Yes.
basically, everybody, Pixar, as Joe has described, has been kind of on a slump ever since the turn of the 2010s. John Lasseter's decisions with handling the studio have been very questionable, and yes, we can also talk about his incredibly horrible way he treats female characters. He treated female characters female employees at Pixar, but we're not here to talk about that.
Long story short, career-wise...
I'm only mentioning it though because it ties into the development of this movie.
Oh God, does it ever?
Yes.
Basically,
Well, actually, I shouldn't be surprised, but yeah.
Basically, folks, for those who may recall, back when this movie was first shown as a trailer, it looked pretty awesome. Okay, granted, we didn't know exactly what we were looking at. What we saw was what looked to be a spunky, red-headed Scottish girl racing about the island and going into what looked like to be a big bout of adventure, like it was gonna be a sprawling epic, like something out of an RPG.
That's the thing,
Oh,
Jova. In the interest of fairness, I will say this. That trailer was always a lie, even from the very beginning of the development. From what we know, the development of the movie, even the idea of the bear wasn't even Mark Andrews. It was actually Brenda Chapman who actually came up with the idea of the bear. So to be fair, it was not all. Brenda Chapman is not completely blameless.
Trust me. I get where you're coming from. It's like with Joel Schumacher in Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Like, Joel Schumacher himself has gone on to say that he sees Batman and Robin as just a toy commercial, and it turns out that a lot of the stuff was outside of his control. If there's something I really detest seeing, it's seeing a big head who gets attached to a project, who thinks things are going their way, only it turns out some higher-up executive decides, hey, I'm going to do your job for you and tell you to do this or that, so that you take all the blame when things go wrong.
I do place most of blame on Mark Andrews, but not all of it, because Brenda Chapman apparently was the one that came up with the bear plot device, so even her is not blameless.
Basically, long story short, the very first trailer did get us very intrigued. The problem is that the mood that trailer inspired is completely lost in the final product.
All right, let's start this, and I'll talk about who made the movie indirectly. All right, so basically, everybody, start right before the modern Disney logo. There's no other different versions. Also, everybody, a little warning we're also going to be doing the Legend of Mor'Duu short that comes with the DVD, Blu-ray, and is also on Disney Plus, so you can watch it there. Right after it, since it actually gives extra backstory on this movie's villain. All right, everybody. So tune in for that feature after the movie is done. So okay, everybody. Right before the Disney logo. 3, 2, 1, click. So yeah, this movie was originally envisioned by Brenda Chapman, inspired by her relationship with her daughter. It was originally meant to be strictly a story about the relationship between a mother and a daughter. Specifically, the fact that the mother is basically forcing her daughter to be a typical princess, whereas of course Merida, being incredibly progressive in nature, one of the primary ideas was to explore a conflict of ideologies, specifically traditionalism versus whatever the modernism. Let's call it modernism because my tongue doesn't work. Unfortunately, let's just say, guys, apparently Bernard Chapman didn't entirely think things through because she did come up with an idea that basically defeats much of the plot later on, but I guess we'll get to
So,
so the final
let's
movie
see
was
what
actually
Pixar's...
Eventually, unfortunately, John Lasseter fired Bernard Chapman from Pixar because of quote-unquote creative differences. However, knowing what we know from John Lasseter now, yeah, it's and for the record, Bernard Chapman specifically said years later, and I quote, "There was no real reason to take me off the film. I think bumping heads with John Lasseter was my undoing."
Yeah,
So to Brenna's credit, she hasn't, accused John Lasseter of anything. So apparently there was genuine creative differences. For all we know, maybe there was more than that. But according to Brenda, apparently it was genuine creative differences.
Yeah, basically, folks, long story short about John Lasseter, he's a guy who a lot of people used to look up to, who people saw as the savior of Disney, because he was the one who ended the Disney animated sequel trend and supposedly whipped things into shape. Which is, for the most part, true. However, there's a lot of caveats to that as well. Not only that, but he himself was responsible for some pretty trashy sequels himself.
So this movie came out in 2012.
Oh,
yes.
Boy!
A year after Cars 2. So as you can probably guess, people weren't exactly, super
ecstatic,
super forgiving on Pixar at the time.
So I guess I could be. Well, actually, I've seen this movie before, so I could definitely say I'm glad I was on that little Pixar hiatus that I was on from 2007 till what year did Monsters University come out?
2013.
Yeah, that.
Oh yeah. Okay. So here's the.
I will give it some credit. I actually really like the art direction. I actually really like Merida's design. Her hair looks really cool. And I will also give it that the main actress, I think it's Kelly MacDonald. That's her name.
Kelly MacDonald. Oh, that's an interesting thing. We saw a movie with her in it recently.
Oh my God, we did.
Trade Spotting. Well, Pedro wasn't in it, but
Oh.
basically, Pedro, she played the character who had sex with Ewan McGregor, only it turned out she was a schoolgirl. And her parents were there while she was filming that scene.
But yeah,
okay, bear in mind the actress herself was 19 at the time.
All right, young lady, follow the video game markers to direct you towards the plot.
Well, now that I've made a weird connection to Trainspotting with this movie, go on, Pedro.
Yeah, this movie takes place in Scotland, ancient Scotland specifically, and it has an all not all of them are Scottish, but it is an all British cast. Let me just get the cast, but one little bit of trivia that I do want to bring up, just because since I have Jova here, so I might as well. Jova, have you ever seen NCIS Los Angeles?
Yes.
You know Kenzie, the female protagonist.
Yeah.
She's played by a Portuguese actress called Daniela Roy.
How nice.
And she plays Merida in the Portuguese dub of this movie. So we invited her to come in all the way from America to come in and record.
Okay, I got it.
So we do have a star actress that works in America. Yes. To play Merida, so that's pretty cool.
Anyway, okay, I might as well address this. Yes, folks, the pacing is that bad. You know that bear that we see? Yeah, that just happened out of nowhere, and suddenly our opening title.
Not even just that, Jova. We only learned about Mor'Duu's backstory in the short that came later with the DVD and Blu-ray.
Yeah, so. Okay, I'll get this out the way now. My biggest issue with the movie. It's not that anything in it is horrifically bad or anything. My issue is just how this is the very definition of an in one ear out the other movie. You watch it, it keeps you somewhat occupied for a good 90 odd minutes, and then you forget about it as soon as you leave the screen.
Basically, the only reason that we had that whole bit with the bear was just to establish that, oh, that's how Merida's father loses his leg, and that's pretty much it.
And also to establish that the bear is evil.
Yeah.
That's the thing, Drebs. Again, we'll only get the backstory in the short.
And that's the thing, honestly.
Oh, God, look. Great. It's like it's like having to read a book to understand the movie.
I'll just say this
To be fair, the story of the backstory of the villain is not essential to the movie itself. It's just like supplementary material. Go ahead, Jova.
Part of the problem is that Mor'Duu as a villain sucks. Like, yeah, sure, he's got the menace, but he is one of the most dullest and most boring Disney villains of all time. Probably because he's not even the main focus of this movie. No, folks, if you thought this movie was going to be about adventure, wonder, and the wonders of Scotland galore, you were misled. Instead, it's about a mother and daughter needing to see eye to eye with one another.
Well, I mean, to be fair, in terms of taking a simple plot and adding a whole bunch of stuff to it to try and make it more exciting, at least it's better than the following year, where Will Smith turned a basic father and son story where the son has to get help because the dad's injured into bloody After Earth.
I do respect Brandon Chapman's idea of doing this first act where it's about tradition, a conflict of ideologies, traditionalism versus modernism.
I feel like they should have just been...
and to give the movie credit, the movie does do a pretty good job doing the build-up during this first act, especially in what is, of course, the best scene of this movie, the archery scene.
Oh, yeah.
In doing a fantastic job of explaining, not just through that one, but also through a lot of subtext that I will point out when we get to it.
Now,
the problem is when the movie falls into the Disney cliche fairy tale trap. It's like we're about to hear a typical Disney I Want More song. It's not sung by Merida, but it is I Want More song, basically.
This is basically one of those Disney movies where the songs aren't necessarily all sung by the characters, but they are done in the overlay. You know, kind of like think of it like a Phil Collins movie, like Brother Bear. Why did I bring up Brother Bear? Oh, you'll see.
Wouldn't Tarzan be an example too?
Oh, don't worry, Joe. I myself can bring that up too. The only Pixar movie that can be even considered a musical is Coco. In Coco, they actually do sing some of the songs, especially "Remember Me."
Okay, I'll be honest. Yes, aside from the caveat that the characters themselves are singing the songs, I don't think that necessarily excuses song quality every now and then. Like, you know, I will say this movie does fall into a bit of that trap of, hey, some of the songs get a little too blatant with describing the plot to the point where it feels like the songs might as well be telling the story for us.
Hell, I'll give Phil Collins' songs some credit. I mean, for as overly descriptive as the lyrics were, the songs were catchy and fun to listen to. This song is so vanilla and fucking... Like, seriously, can you even remember the fucking lyrics to this?
I at least
cannot.
remember Tarzan's theme song.
Actually, sure. How about you? You haven't really said much about this movie. First impressions.
Well, actually, she's seen this movie plenty of times at this point, so it's not really first impressions. But
yeah, I've seen the movie quite a few times.
Sorry.
I don't really remember the song, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I was asking about that. And what's your thought of like the first few minutes of this movie so far?
It's good enough. It's just, yeah, like a lot of people who saw the trailer, I expected a different movie.
Here's the primary issue. The primary issue is that this first act has a lot of good build-up. It's not flawless by any means, but it is good build-up. The problem is the movie never capitalizes on this build-up because after the first act ends, we're gonna switch plots.
Let me put it like this: like the initial trailers, this first act is kind of a lie to, you know, what you're expecting. Like, this first act does suggest a rather rowdy venture here and there. And you know what? That would have been interesting here and there.
I'm going to be paraphrasing some aspects from the... I'm sorry, dude, that I cannot quote the YouTuber's name because his name is one of those unpronounceable names, you know. But if you haven't seen it, everybody, and you want a more detailed analysis of the video, of the movie, go to YouTube and search Brave Was a Disappointment. It's a 40-something minute analysis video that perfectly explains the problems of the movie while still giving credit to the good things. and it perfectly explains why this movie could have been so much better.
Okay. Now, on the one hand, I get it. Modernism versus, tradition. The problem is that, I'm gonna be quite honest, Merida's mother just comes off as a tool most often. Like, a good plot should make it so that both sides do have points here and there. Merida's mother, from what I recall, does not really raise any good points other than, oh, it's be tradition, and
Well,
okay.
to be fair, this is Middle Ages, and so this is just the status quo. And she doesn't know anything else about how life is supposed to be. So it makes sense for a character in this time period to be, like that.
But here's the problem, though. We didn't necessarily have women like Merida in the Middle Ages, but for the sake of this movie, we technically do. It's sort of a bit where it's kind of a bit where you have to, do a bit of compromise here and there. Like, if you're going to have characters act differently than they actually did, it does feel like a clash when you then have someone insisting that things go how it were historically, all of a sudden out of the blue here and there. And again, I'm not saying that this idea was completely, bad and couldn't have been salvaged. The problem is that Merida's mother literally just comes off as a jerk.
I can actually explain that, Jova, because a former Pixar employee who did work on the early treatment of this movie when Brenda was in charge of it, did say that Brenda's original idea, as she communicated it to the crew, was a mother and daughter relationship told from a distinctively female lens. Keep that in mind for later, because when I describe to you what Mark Andrews says about this movie, it clearly shows problems.
I swear, the more I hear about this movie's development, the more I think that this will make for a great What Happened episode.
Like I said, remember, the story was inspired by Brenda's very own relationship with her daughter. So this is, of course, this was supposed to be a personal story originally before.
God, I'm right with you there, Merida. So, okay, the thing is that she insists... To
be fair, again, this is supposed to be, remember, she's talking about a princess. You're right. But we also have to think about the subtext. By princess, she also means what a young girl is supposed to be like in Middle Ages Scotland, aka, you're supposed to be a princess, you're supposed to do all this kind of stuff that, she wants,
he's such a klutz, isn't he?
There's a place in society for women of this time period, and as being a person who knows about this, of course, the mom tells her that's how it is. However, Merida disagrees, and it's, of course, the whole traditionalism versus modernism angle that the relationship has. So I can understand the idea of the mother being like this. The idea is that this is what society expects from women, and what's her name again? Hold on.
Merida?
Okay, this is actually some important lore.
The mom.
Oh, okay, I'm not sure what her name is.
My points exactly.
This lore will be explained better in the short.
Yeah, can we watch that one instead? How old is Merida at this point?
Trust me, I'll be mentioning a lot of primary issues when we get to a later scene in the third act.
Okay, I hate to say this, but on a better sheet of paper, the way they should have gone about this was with Mulan 2. Now, before you raise your pitchforks and torques, allow me to explain. In Mulan 2, it was established that marriage was absolutely essential because they needed it to unite the kingdoms against an impending war. It was absolutely necessary. As we're later going to see in this movie, the marriage wasn't necessary at all. The mother's just doing it because...
16.
reasons.
Tradition.
Again, I get it, And the problem is that the mother is literally the only person talking about tradition in this movie. Yes, there are technically the other clans that will go on about tradition, but they pretty much keel over to Merida eventually. The mother is kind of the only one insisting on it. It feels weirdly inconsistent.
I can actually explain that, Jova. Basically, as the way Brenda envisioned, God, let me check her name. Queen Eleanor, that's it. Queen Eleanor, Jova, is supposed to be the diplomat, as in the king is, even though she's not the king, she's the queen. She's basically the one that does all the ruling, basically, because the king is, as you can see, is not exactly
bit of an
King is a
oaf.
doofus.
basically Jova. Whereas the king is the fighter type, you know, like he handles all the war military aspects. Queen Eleanor handles the diplomatic, law, basically all of the boring desk job aspects of ruling.
We can't be that good a fighter if he trips over an entire freaking table. You just clumsy.
He has other people fight for him, Dwibs. He's a king.
That's just
Yeah.
the
He's supposed to be fighting as well.
Okay, to be fair to him, that's just the movie trying to do the whole, oh, you know, he's a lovable oaf thing here and there. Like, he can actually fight good and well. That was just a pointless joke more than anything.
Well, yeah, well, the main problem with that is that it wasn't funny.
I'm just gonna say this. This movie was handled better in the show Once Upon a Time.
But that was going on at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea is that Queen Eleanor is supposed to be the diplomat. So of course she's the one who basically rules everything and handles all of the law, tradition stuff. And one of the primary reasons why Merida is supposed to quote unquote marry is because, again, it's all part of tradition and it's the way she knows. However, of course, Merida defies that, of course.
So
it's one of those things where you can tell. Oh, actually, no, there's actually a really subtle character moment here that I actually would like to point out. Notice here. There's going to be a very subtle visual moment that I think gets missed a lot by people.
Gee, I can't imagine why.
Oh, I understand why, Jova. That's why I want to point it out.
It feels
Here,
weird that...
Look at this. Yeah, the idea is that she wants to connect with her daughter, but the difference in worldviews just creates an abyss between them, and that was the original idea of Brenda Chapman. To tell a story of a mother and daughter who want to understand each other, but they have such completely different views on how the world works. That it becomes very difficult, and this is something that everybody can relate to. You know, like when you have a friend or a loved one or whatever, obviously there's going to be differences, and you have to learn to live with that difference. You can't possibly change that person's entire worldview. You have to accept who that person is and like that person for who she is. So that was one of the primary themes. But the movie will not focus on that dilemma because, like me and Joe have said, by the time we finish the first act, the movie basically switches plots.
Not just
it
that,
pretty
but...
much becomes reverse Brother Bear, if you know what I mean.
Basically, yeah.
Again, I think part of the...
As the video that I just recommended said, it's Mother Bear. So, yeah, Mother Bear.
Yeah, great. Wait, well, this film came out 9 years after Brother Bear, so I guess if they were going for a secret 10th anniversary celebration, they were a bit too early.
I prefer Brother Bear, to be honest. Brother Bear was derivative, but at the very least, he was cohesive and knew what it was.
I mean, I can at least say that I had a genuinely good time with Brother Bear. With this movie, I can't even say that. For as much as this movie...
I mean, it does everything Brother Bear was trying to do, but worse. It doesn't even do Phil Collins right. And Phil Collins was kind of one of the issues with that movie, as much as I like him normally.
Okay, I'm gonna tackle one of the more obvious issues with this movie. The cast isn't really endearing. Oh, Merida herself is endearing, yes, but none of the cast are really endearing. Like, okay, I get it.
Because not at all. They're just stereotypes, really. The only characters that have any kind of development or personality are Merida and her daughter.
Now, just so nobody gets this mixed up, a character does not have to be a protagonist or the good guy to be endearing, you know? You could...
I like this joke here. Hold on.
Okay, SpongeBob joke, that's nice.
It still worked for me though.
Oh yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. I like the joke too. I mean, it's something that you could do in your sleep, but it's one that works. I think what I really would have liked to see is us eventually getting a payoff to that gag of seeing how he got to be that awesome. The problem is that nothing in the movie suggests that that guy could actually do something that awesome.
Okay, is the problem with the movie. The humor isn't exactly breaking. Okay, I like I said before, I don't think originality is as important as how you actually do it, but in terms of quality. But a lot of the jokes in this movie are the ones you really come to expect from a film like this.
No, the humor is not very inspired. No.
The Scottish guy, we can't understand the Scottish guy because of his accent, because that's not outdated at all.
And here's another thing that I don't get. Again, the movie can't seem to decide. Well, okay, the movie tries to have its cake and eat it. Yes, it has Merida's mother, Queen Eleanor, talk about tradition and everything, but according to what most of this movie suggests, tradition is just them fighting and deciding their power through strength. Like, that seems to be the actual tradition on hand here.
Well, there we are. If the kingdom falls after this, we can blame the king's sons.
Fun fact, Webs, Patrick Doyle himself cameos as quote-unquote...
Yeah, because he used to be an actor before he remembered, I'm a classically trained composer.
Yeah, basically, okay, anyway, see, notice here. This is actually another good moment of subtext. Notice how everybody immediately stops doing whatever they're doing whenever she walks. Because as you can see, the queen is the true figure of respect in this kingdom, not so much the king.
As nice as that is, you're probably wondering why. Because if we're living in medieval times, shouldn't she not be respected as the woman or something?
Well, Jova, this is 2012 Disney, so of course we can't do that.
That's my major issue. Yes, I'd be fine with her truly commanding the respect, but they never explain why. Is it because she was supposedly kind? Was it because that as a youngster she did an amazing feat or something? The movie never does a good job explaining that.
Yeah, it would be nice if only Brenda didn't for some reason think, you know what, Mother Bear. Yeah. For as much crap as I'm gonna throw to Mark Andrews later on in this commentary, I will give credit. Yes.
Okay. If you want to get married, Merida, why not make some bullshit challenge that no one could possibly win, so you won't have to get married?
Because then her mother would just scold her and veto that.
Well, Dwibs, that is kind of her plan, as you're going to see in a moment. But anyway...
Yeah, but archery, that was the typical thing done in Scotland.
But that's the thing, that she's the best archer in the kingdom. But anyway, that's the thing.
No, I meant like you have to do archery blindfolded with one arm tied behind your back or something.
I don't know. Maybe Merida didn't think things through.
Well, again, like I said, her mother would have probably just have vetoed that anyway.
Yeah, that too. But anyway, yeah. Okay, to be fair to Mark Andrews, yes, Brenda Chapman apparently was indeed the one that came up with the Mother Bear plot. So even if Brenda Chapman had remained the head of the movie all the way, we still would have had the Mother Bear plot still. We don't know if it would have been executed better, maybe, I don't know, but it's still a dumb idea. So again, like I said in the beginning, let's not pretend that Brenda Chapman is blameless, because she isn't. She also apparently had what is, in my opinion, the worst idea of the movie.
Oh, by the way, the triplets are still a thing. The movie just wanted to remind you that.
The triplets, they're here to...
They will serve pretty much no purpose until the very end.
Also, they're also used for solving puzzles in the video game.
Yeah, they're not funny, but they're comic relief.
Basically,
look at it this way, it could be worse. It could be something like when they could be incredibly annoying in the way they talk or something. At least they're silent, so it's not like it could be worse.
I think
anyway, yeah, archery contests. This is by far the best scene in the movie.
Oh yeah, this was pretty much the scene that
everybody at the very least remembers from this movie, because for very good reasons. Not only this would be a fantastic way to set up a fantastic second act. Unfortunately, that second act never comes up because, well, we already know what's going to happen. Yeah.
Anger management issues.
One thing that I do like as well is one thing that I do like as well is how Merida reacts. So it's actually she has some really fun reactions in the sense that they managed to make her a really good a character that really rejects this. This. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, a character that basically mocks these characters trying to be overly manly about the way they do things and trying to prove in a way that feels natural and doesn't feel like
because
it doesn't
Scotland.
It doesn't feel like there's it's not like if this movie was made by current day Disney, probably it would have been Merida's characters would have been worse probably. So I have to at least commend that.
Merida, what the hell happened?
All right, here you go, this.
Okay, this is actually a classic based off of something called The Princess Knight, where the princess pretty much duels for her own hand.
If I win, I'm going to marry myself.
Notice this is a neat moment of subtext as well.
She pretty much literally rips into tradition.
Not just that, Joe. Remember, who put that dress on her?
Her mother.
Mother. So yeah. So the movie does have some nice little moments of visuals, and the subtext.
Okay, I love this scene. Absolutely do love this scene. There's just one little problem.
When I animate this scene, Jova, they actually did get professional archers to show Pixar how it works when a arrow actually gets shot from a bow, so they can properly animate it. There you go. See, notice how it twirls a bit? That's actually how it is. So yeah, nice detail. Go ahead, Joe.
I have one problem, though. The movie expects us not to side with Merida after this, but to suggest that, she did a bad, even though, I'm sorry, as far as I'm concerned, her mother was the one in the wrong trying to foist her off for a marriage that didn't even need to happen.
Yeah, well, to be fair, Jova, that's only gets made in the third act, but yeah, I know what you mean. I'll talk about it too. But yeah, that's the thing. That's the sad part. This first act, at least, is at the very least portraying Eleanor to be the one in the wrong. But of course, they're gonna flip flop on this, as you've just said.
Honestly, it would have been more daring if they actually just had Eleanor admit that she was just in the wrong, period. Yes, I understand that usually the proper way is to have it be that both sides are right and both sides are a bit wrong and, both need to learn from each other.
When I first saw this movie, I thought the plot was going to kickstart with her accidentally stabbing the mom or something.
Yes, Jova?
That would have been more interesting. I get it, the way a Goofy movie did it was that both Max and Goofy were, bit of symbolism there. And literally saying it. But yeah, I get it, with a Goofy movie, the idea was that both Goofy and Max were both in the right and wrong about their particular sides of the argument. And wow, Queen Eleanor really comes off as a dick.
Mother of the Year, folks.
Okay, but to be fair, that is true, but to be fair, hold on. A few seconds. She does immediately regret it. Actually, now that she actually.
Great job regretting that. You stupid cow.
She acted in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
You're telling me that you've never done something that you immediately regret in the heat
I
of the
wouldn't
moment.
trust this woman as the queen.
Well, okay. I get doing something that you immediately regret, but with all her talk and bluster about, you need to act more responsibly, Merida, or you should always think properly, Merida, her doing that kind of makes her come off as a hypocrite. And again, what I do not like is that the movie expects us to go, maybe Queen Eleanor was a bit right. No, as far as I'm concerned, screw her.
All right, everybody.
And
so that was
of
the
which,
end of
this
Act
is where
1, meaning it's time to switch stories. Well, there you go. There's you're apparently not enjoying this story very much, but that's okay. The movie's about to switch to a different one.
I meant make the story better, not switch to another one.
Well, James, if you want to make the story better, just watch Once Upon a Time. Believe it or not.
And now Stonehenge for some reason.
Actually, no, this isn't Stonehenge. Stonehenge is in the south of England. But anyway, go on, Joe.
Okay.
Believe it or not, Once Upon a Time not only fills in plot holes of this movie, but actually does add extra plot details that makes the story way more interesting than the actual movie was.
Yeah. In the meantime, I'd also like to bring up the cast since I haven't yet. Yeah, Kelly MacDonald plays Merida. She's a Scottish actress. Emma Thompson is not Scottish, she's just British, it says here. She plays Queen Eleanor. Billy Connolly, a retired Scottish stand-up comedian, and I love Billy Connolly, and he plays King Fergus, yes. There's also Julie Walters, an English actress that plays the witch. Robbie Coltrane, a Scottish actor, plays Lord Dingwall, one of the other lords. There's Kevin McKidd, he's a British actor. Craig Ferguson, awesome, plays Lord Mackintosh.
Oh, nice.
I love Craig Ferguson, so cool. Steve Purcell is in him. Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, he's the Raven and the Crow.
Did they get Robert Carlyle for this?
No, not that I'm seeing here at least.
I think he was too busy with
Once Upon a
Time at this point.
Yeah, so basically from what I'm seeing here, the only American actors in this movie are Stephen Purcell, who just does the Crow. So it's like it only goes caw, so whatever. And John Ratzenberger, of course, as Gordon the Guard. So,
have we seen him yet?
No.
John Ratzenberger as a guard, eh?
Well, okay, it's kind of Pixar law to have John Ratzenberger in every movie.
Yeah, much like Disney now has the same, but for Alan Tudyk.
Hey, sure, are you there?
Yes.
So, now that we finished the first act, thoughts on the... Well, you know, your thoughts on the movie at this point.
Everything kind of goes a bit downhill from here.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I was actually explaining while you were gone, Shiro, that yeah. For even though that first set was by no means flawless, like if the filmmakers were allowed to at the very least continue fleshing out the relationship better and focus on that, the movie could have turned itself around and managed to improve. The problem is, as we've talked about, the movie now switches to Mother Bear.
Because yes, the first act of the movie is pretty much all I remember of the movie.
I don't
and
blame
of course,
you.
The archery scene, of course, being the most iconic scene of this, the only scene of this movie that people outright remember because it's a fantastic scene, because of how brilliantly animated it is, and it does a good job showing some visual subtext.
So, do you agree with me regarding Queen Eleanor, Shiroi?
Sorry?
Basically, Jova thinks that Queen Eleanor is a bitch because of how she's so unflexible, and how she, even in the heat of the moment, although to be fair, she immediately regretted it and took it out of the bonfire, burned Merida's bow.
That I will agree with Jova, because you know it's like, yeah, she regretted it, of course, but the damage is done. And yeah, I know that Merida ruined it's the seal, isn't it? The family seal. That can be fixed. You know, sewing is a thing that bloody exists, and it existed at this point in time. I mean, it's still a bad thing to do out of frustration, but what the mother did is like, that was not a very mature or you know.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't trust the queen who acted like that.
That isn't a response to this situation at all. This is.
It really is a problem that the movie eventually...
Or anyone who acts like that, really.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, about the whole by the way, some people ask, why, of all things to turn her into, why a bear? Apparently, and you'll notice this because we talked over it, but apparently this witch loves bears. Apparently this witch is a big bear fanatic. Make that what you will.
Okay.
That's why.
I won't go...
I wonder if bears have any Scottish significance, because I actually don't know.
Okay.
No, that's the thing, though. They don't. Apparently, it's just because for all we know, the witch is secretly a furry. I don't know.
Okay, now, I won't go too much into all the details involving this movie and Once Upon a Time, but one of the benefits it does is actually giving more context as to why all of a sudden there's a witch here. Like, not gonna lie, the witch in this movie is kind of just Not only that, but I think this is pretty much the only scene we get for her aside from one other scene. Whereas Once Upon a Time actually goes into how she actually has sort of been having dealings with Merida's family for quite some time, which gives us a bit more sense as to why she came about. And let's just say, in the long run, this is all to eventually help Merida become a potentially better ruler here. God, you know it's bad that, honestly, it would have been better if this was just to make Merida a better ruler than supposedly have the whole mother-daughter thing.
To recap the basic gist of it, Merida wants, quote-unquote, a spell to change her mom. You should have been more specific, Merida.
I mean, when you ask for a spell like that, you're kind of asking for trouble. Like,
yeah.
And,
no, thank you. I'm not gonna eat anything that came out of that cauldron. Sorry.
Okay, look. With Ariel, I get it, Even though Ursula was obviously a shady character, like Ursula herself even admits that she's kind of a witch, with Ariel, she felt backed into a corner, like it was really her only choice. Here...
Well, I mean, I'm not sure, like, I wouldn't say it for... Okay, because Merida's mother reacted, pretty terribly, but what Triton was doing, the room trashing scene kind of thing, that's kind of textbook abuse.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, she really was backed into a corner for that one. Like,
that's my point. With Ariel, it made more sense that she would resort to it. With Merida here, she doesn't even really hesitate, and this kind of makes Merida come off as an idiot. Which is kind of ironic because, yeah, that's kind of how she is compared to the other Disney princesses in Wreck-It Ralph. It's seen more the goofball, but in her own movie, she's not supposed to be this stupid. Like,
yeah,
she doesn't even come across as stupid to start with. But yeah, go ahead, Pedro.
Basic Webs. Here's Merida's cameo in Ralph Breaks the Internet. She speaks in the Scottish dialect that's basically incomprehensible, and then everybody stands there in distraught because they can't understand her, and Vanellope's like, what did she say? And then Anna's like, we don't know. We can understand her. She's not from our studio.
The thing is, a funny thing.
Well, I mean, they did that joke in this movie, and unintelligible Scottish accent.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though, Dwibs.
It wasn't that funny here. So how's it there?
Well, it's done with better context, I can tell you that.
Yes, it is. But to give you for comparison's sake, Alice could understood what the particular character from this movie was saying. But for the movie Wreck-It Ralph, they laid it on so thick, especially because it is slightly different in the movie than it is to the trailer. Even she struggled to understand it. That's how thick they laid it on.
Subtitles?
Like,
there are subtitles, yes.
There are subtitles, yes.
Yeah. I actually, it's maybe weird, but I actually could make out what she was saying when I saw Wreck-It Ralph 2. So you're saying that I can make out what an actual Scottish person can't make out? I mean, I know I have some
Alice was very confused.
Honestly, Jovi, it was far worse for foreign dubs, because I can't speak for other foreign dubs, but the Portuguese dub, obviously this kind of joke only works with the English language, so we just kind of had to have Merida just speak and just roll with it, and because it's one of those jokes that's just literally untranslatable.
Speaking Brazilian Portuguese.
So, no, that's the thing, Shiroi. Brazilian Portuguese is nowhere near thick to the point where it would be incomprehensible. It just doesn't work. It's one of those kinds of jokes that only works for the English language, really. So
okay, now I know what the movie is later going to do, going about how, Merida did a wrong thing turning her mother into a bear. Here's the problem. Merida did not know that's what was going to happen to her mother.
Yeah, true. Okay, so I've already talked about Brenda having the idea of the bear. So again, I've already explained why she's not blameless. But now let's get to Mark Andrews.
Get it? I wonder what's going to happen.
Very good, Lips. Remember, he just shot an arrow into the bear, so we know that the king is going to go after the mom because he thinks it's a bear. Blah 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 blah. But anyway. Yeah, let's get to Mark Andrews. For those who don't know who Mark Andrews is, he's Brad Bird's number 2. He's one of the guys who was one of his right-hand men in Iron Giant, and then he came with him with the rest of the team from Iron Giant into Pixar to make Incredibles, and then Ratatouille, and he's basically Brad Bird's right-hand man, basically. He was the one that took the initiative of finishing this movie after Brenda Chapman was fired. And yeah, now we're gonna get the transformation. I'll continue after this.
Albeit completely off screen.
Your mom. Or...
Fun fact: we can play as the mom as the mom and as a bear in the game
Is it any fun?
Not really. It's basic and okay. It's competent. I can give it that.
So
they are great. It's competent. There's the review.
I guess that's better than the movie.
That's the thing, Dwebs. That's basically the best, the only real thing I can say about the game. It's a competent game that does just enough to not suck.
You know,
and that's it.
Okay, I'll be honest. Yes, most people probably say, "Oh, this movie is just fine or decent." I'm gonna argue that it's not. A decent movie would at the very least be able to stay consistent with its own message.
Yeah.
This
A good movie
cannot.
picks the plot and sticks with it.
Like, okay, Monsters University is a decent movie. This is mediocre at best. I'm sorry.
Say what you want about Monsters University. It had flaws, but at the very least, it had a specific plot that it stuck to. This movie doesn't know what the fuck it's doing anymore. Yeah, now we're you know what this means, right, everybody? Now we're gonna spend a half hour doing a fetch quest of trying to find out a way to turn the mom back into a human. So yeah, the whole conflict of ideologies plot that we had for the first half hour is now basically put on pause for 30 minutes.
And yes, like I said, the movie will go on and on about how, oh, Merida, you did a wrong here and there, except Merida didn't know that's what was going to happen. And yes, we could go on about how it was foolish to believe the witch, which I did point out. But all at the same thing, as far as Merida was concerned, her mother wasn't going to budge, and she would have been forced to. Yes, the circumstances weren't as bad as with Ariel, but I wouldn't exactly say that, oh, Merida was completely in the wrong for wanting a way out of this. And to her credit, she did try to reason with her mother at first, but her mother was not given at all.
Okay, to go back to Mark Andrews. After Brendan Chapman was fired, Mark Andrews was tasked with basically finishing the movie. So Mark Andrews did a couple rewrites, and basically, okay, I would also like to mention that according to Brenda Chapman, and again, for all we know, she's lying, because she doesn't want to cause trouble for herself and career-wise, maybe. But I can only go for what she says, because I can't read her mind, obviously. According to Brenda Chapman, she found the final film to be mostly true to her vision. So take that for what you will. Maybe she's lying because she doesn't want to, cause more drama. But, well, we can only go for what she said. But the basic point is this. Mark Andrews rewrote the movie. One of the primary... Okay.
Bit of comedy there.
Comedy. But, yeah, basically... that poor woman is the one that suffers the most throughout this movie. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all she's doing is doing her job, so it's...
Comedy is suffering. Okay, that woman has clearly... Whatever. The point is, yeah. Okay, you know how I said earlier that Brenda Chapman's, according to another former Pixar employee that worked on the original version of this movie, said that... Brenda's idea, as she communicated to her crew, was to tell a mother and daughter story from a distinctively female lens. Well, Mark Andrews, when he took over the movie, he threw that into the trash. And I'm not even kidding. You can literally, there's literally footage of Mark Andrews specifically saying that, oh yeah, she's a girl, but it doesn't matter. Gender has nothing to do with this movie. Now, so basically his idea was to remove any quote-unquote...
cute. Get it? Even as a bear, she's still motherly.
Yeah. Mark Andrews' primary idea with making this movie is to try to make the movie a bit more balanced in terms of perspective. What do I mean by that? I mean that there's no distinctively female or male perspective on the stuff. It's just like they just focus on the characters themselves, as in Merida is a strong character regardless of her gender. Now, don't get me wrong. Obviously, most of the time, that's one of the best ways to go about it when it comes to dealing with your characters and their story. However, that doesn't mean we can't have... Okay, let me use Sailor Moon as an example, because I'm sure Shiroi will back me up on this. When you think about Sailor Moon, it's a story about character relationships from a distinctly female lens. I'm guessing you'll agree with me on that, Shiroi?
So I'd say so.
Yes. Being a Sailor Moon fan, I actually really like stories that are told from a distinctly female lens, because it's a lens that are not my own, so it makes the story very interesting, at least for me.
So I guess to quote Brother Bear, you could...
that is different than the one that I would have, and allows me to experience stories in ways that are different. To make this story, quote-unquote, devoid of any gender perspectives, I think contributes in making it blander. Because I think more... Go ahead, Shira, you were saying?
Yeah, no, I will agree, because here's the thing, like, we have a lot of there are a lot of, parent and child interaction, stories, learning from each other and things. But for a lot of the time, you have, the father-daughter relationship or the father-son relationship. There really aren't that many, or at least that I can think of, that tackle a mother-daughter relationship, and that's the thing. Like, if you do happen to have, both a mother and a father, your relationship with each of them is probably quite different. And it would have been, interesting to, as somebody who grew up for most of their childhood with a single mother, it would have been interesting for the movie to have kept the perspective of telling this story from a female lens, mother and daughter relationship. Yeah, I do agree with Pedro that taking that away definitely hinders this story.
Like, imagine if someone tried to do the same procedure to Sailor Moon, Shiroi. Like, like it or not, the female perspective is an inherent part of Brenda's original vision for this movie and Sailor Moon as well.
It's a problem that a lot of writers in the entertainment industry tend to have. It's like they think, oh, if we tell this through like a gender perspective, then it won't be able to attract people of the opposite gender or whatnot. Like,
but as Pedro just stated, that's not true.
Exactly.
Because he finds those interesting.
Heck, we've literally seen plenty of stuff that shows that that's bullcrap. We've had stuff like Powerpuff Girls, Kim Possible, Sailor Moon, Totally Spies, which had both...
Hey, do you know how many male fans Sailor Moon has? Like, Jesus Christ.
They have their rear ends. It's funny.
Hell. One of the most popular cartoons of this generation is literally My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, which may even have more male viewers than female viewers.
Exactly. It's...
Oh boy. This movie is such a mess.
It is.
You know.
Well, I mean, my biggest problem is that it's just there, I mean, there's plenty of other movies that have done this kind of thing much better.
That's the thing.
You'd expect more from Pixar by 2012.
Here's the thing, Dwebs. You say there have been movies that have done this better, but which plot are you talking about? The Conflict of Ideologies plot or the Mother Bear plot?
All of them.
Yeah, that's the problem. See, again, if this movie had fixated on one of those two plots, maybe it could have turned itself around and told a more cohesive, well-told story, Because, like I've said, for a total of 30 minutes,
the witch's place is all of a sudden gone for reasons.
Like I said, for a total of 30 minutes, the marriage/ideologies plot gets put on pause so we can start this scavenger hunt for, a way to break the curse or transformation, whatever you want to call it.
So that's free plots. And I got bad news for you folks. There's more plots on the way.
And that's the thing, though. I mean, I know I know a lot of people don't love this movie. I think it's a perfectly fine movie. Again, a lot of people don't love it. But I'd honestly much rather be watching Brother Bear right now because...
Brother Bear is cohesive and knows
Brother Bear's on Disney Plus, so why don't we change movies?
Yeah, let's go to that.
If this film can... Yeah, hey Pedro, if this film can change plots, why can't we change movies?
Movies, exactly.
Okay, hey guys, it's time for a convenient magical message.
Oh, look, this! It's your favorite, an exposition scene.
Sure you are, lady.
Well, I mean, it's not really exposition as such.
Well, that's the thing, that she is about to explain how the spell works and what she needs to do to break it.
There's a lot of...
I get it. Hey, guys, it's the phone joke. But instead of pressing buttons, it's vials.
Considering how John Lasseter is such a big Hayao Miyazaki fan, I think I'm going to regret asking this because Dwebs' memory is, dodgy, but I'll still ask anyway, just in case he remembers it. Dwebs, tell the audience if you remember. How in the movie Howl's Moving Castle, how did Hayao Miyazaki convey to the audience how Sophie's curse works?
He showed it.
Exactly. Allow me to basically, for most of you who might have not seen House Moving Castle, without spoiling anything, I'll tell it this: there's a character who gets turned into an old lady.
Oh wait, hold on. I need to cover this. So yeah, the witch has a penchant for literally telling the answer, but in a riddle form of variety here. Why, you may ask? No reason given. As for now, believe it or not, once upon a time, actually explained why she tended to give her messages and riddles here. It was again to try and test Merida's knowledge to again help her be a better ruler. Again, this sort of has to do with a deal that the witch made with her father in the past and whatnot, so a lot of this is overall just giving Merida good life lessons here and there.
And Merida died.
That said, in the movie, it's literally just a case of, ooh, I'm a cookie witch, I give you riddles here and there.
That's the end of the movie.
It's as spooky as the witch from The Thief and the Cobbler.
But yeah, basic gist of it, Hayao Miyazaki showed in various times whenever Sophie's happy or cheerful or anything, like suddenly she gets less wrinkles and she occasionally even reverts entirely, temporarily. Basically, purely through visual means, Hayao Miyazaki was able to convey how the spell works.
Although I don't recall them explaining why all of a sudden at the end it finally gets...
Just saying. Go ahead, Jova, sorry.
I don't get why all of a sudden the curse just breaks, but her hair remains white, apparently, by the end of the film. Like, that was weird.
The idea is that we have to, quote-unquote, mend the bond. Huh?
Well, it's not exactly fully mended, then, if the hair's still white.
Yeah, that was weird with House Moving Castle.
No. Well, that's the thing, Joe. Remember, the curse on Sophie was never entirely broken. That's exactly the thing. She stays cursed, but since she's now happy, she has her young body again. That's the idea. Sophie ends up living the rest of her life with her curse. She just learns to live with it. Basically, it's supposed to be a learn to live with your demons type of message.
Kind of sucks for her, seeing as how she got cursed for no good reason, but yeah. Okay, at least I understand that a bit better. Oh, don't you see, guys? Queen Eleanor was nice to her as a kid. Yeah.
It's a bit late to do this. You should have had scenes like that at the beginning of the movie.
Again,
By this point, most people have already tuned out.
Like, that's the thing. Most people that I've talked to don't even feel that sorry for Queen Eleanor in this case. Like, yes, it's a sucky situation, but... God.
Hold on. I'll put this out, Jova.
Even as a bear, she nags her.
Hold on. Wait for it.
Ha.
Oh my god, she just said it. For those of you who haven't seen Brother Bear in a while, when Kenai turns into a bear, and that old lady from the tribe finds him, there's literally a point where he's also trying to talk to her, and she literally says that exact same line. Sorry, I don't speak bear.
I really
strip that line straight from Brother Bear.
Maybe it's at this point where Pixar realized, you know, we used to actually be the one to show Disney Animation a thing or two. Now we're outright losing to them. Oh yeah,
I laughed how sometimes both were being outclassed by freaking DreamWorks of all people.
I know, right? Okay, a bit of context, folks. Disney, back when this movie was coming out, see, this film was sort of kind of competing with Wreck-It Ralph in terms of, get this, which film Disney thought would be more successful. Disney in their infinite wisdom... Hold on.
Yes.
Sorry. Go ahead and finish, Joe.
Stop me if you heard this before, Shiroy. Disney in their infinite wisdom thought that this movie would be the slam dunk, whereas Wreck-It Ralph would just be the side project. Uh-huh. Yeah, which movie was it that ended up with a sequel, and which movie ended up being regarded as, well, one of the most mediocre Disney movies possible, to the point where this character is literally just a subpart of the sequel?
Hell, Jova, I have an even better one.
What?
2011, where Pixar released what is unanimously regarded as their biggest stinker, and in the exact same, that exact same summer, Disney released one of a wonderful send-off to their hand-drawn department. So this is just that the abyss in quality between those two movies is even bigger, I would argue.
It would come to a culmination.
Cars 2 is.
It would really come to a culmination also with Frozen as well, which a lot of people mistook to be a Pixar movie at first.
Well, to
but
be
no.
fair, well, actually, no.
You did like Pedro?
No. That's not what I mean. That's what I mean. Never mind. Jova's right. Yeah, I was thinking something different. Go ahead, Jova. I'll explain.
A lot of people actually mistook Frozen to be a Pixar movie at first because, well, it looked like the Pixar style, and it seemed like a return to form. Only no, it was being done by Disney Animation Studios.
To be fair, that was mostly because of the terrible marketing, where they didn't even show the songs for the most part.
Well, to be fair though, even still, okay, songs or not, like people still did mistake it for a Pixar movie. Like, and besides,
I have to point this out. So, Shiroi, are you enjoying this CG remake of Brother Bear?
Not really.
I'm sorry.
Let's think about this for a moment. I don't speak bear. Now we have what is basically the welcome song from Brother Bear. You know,
hey,
welcome to this family, blah blah blah. So yeah, this is literally Brother Bear.
Hey, here's a better question, Shiroi. Are you enjoying the CGI remake of a Goofy movie? Seriously, both generations need to see eye to eye, and we're having the fishing bit between the two, just like in a Goofy movie. And maybe Merida notices something more. No, seriously, what is up with this scene?
They're having fun, and that equates to bonding.
Yeah, we're gonna forget.
We could have a verbal conversation.
That's the thing, Shiro. The whole verbal conversation angle from the first act is gone by this point. So,
and look at that.
No, that's the point.
And look at that. Her mother leaves behind her crown for reasons.
All right, now we're going to introduce this. Yeah. Apparently, yeah, as the witch said, after 2 days, the mom will become a bear permanently. She would even lose her human mind and become a permanently irrational bear. This is the first sign of it.
In that case, shouldn't the change have been, I don't know, more gradual? Like, instead of her instantly becoming a bear?
And besides, isn't she kind of like this when she was human?
Yeah, that too. We get it, movie.
So what's the point here? The mom was always unstable, and the bear's making it slightly worse.
See now, a good movie would have tied this into the mother realizing that maybe her behavior as a queen, and mother wasn't always the best, and that the idea would be that this movie is realizing that she's becoming.
The wisps.
Do we even need to bother
explains what these things are. They're just magical beings that show up whenever it's convenient for the plot, basically. In the game, they're used as upgrades to Merida's abilities.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, it's like I said, the Wisps are literally just video game guide markers in this movie. They basically tell our heroes where they need to go and what to do, essentially, without really much explanation as to what they are.
Okay, is this movie secretly an LP?
Maybe.
Yes it is. Only it has even...
It's not the video game that's a commercial for the movie. It's the movie
that's a commercial for the video game, of course. Anyway, but like I said, though, a good movie would have maybe tied, Eleanor's transformation into something with her realizing how she was kind of acting like a beast towards her daughter. Maybe not, the traditional kind of beast, but one who didn't regard her daughter well. Kind of like a gender-swapped version of Beauty and the Beast, I guess, but... could have worked. Problem is, that's not what they go with here. Again, most of the movie will be tied in supposedly Merida needing to learn a lesson. Oh, sure, yeah, her mother does have that little bit, I was a bit of a jerk bit, but it's not really about the full realization that it should call for it, which unfortunately robs us of a lot of catharsis. That said, though, guys, I don't know, but I feel like our movie is missing, a villain or something.
Yeah, we're about to bring back Mor'Duu into the movie. Yeah, remember Mor'Duu? That, evil-looking bear that was set in the prologue as the bad guy? Yeah, we kind of forgot about him, didn't we?
We are nearly towards the third... We are nearly towards the third act of this movie, the last third of this movie, and only now we're bringing back our villain in.
maybe that's what the short was for. They realized that we forgot to actually flesh out the villain, didn't we?
Like, that's the
let's do that. Let's do that after the fact.
That's the thing. Why not include the contents of that short in this movie? It would have helped flesh this out, because this is paper thin.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, maybe that was the brave decision to give the villain no personality.
Well, Dwebs.
Guys, maybe this
that
is
actually can work. It depends on what kind of movie and tone you're doing.
Hey, Shiroi, maybe this kingdom is the story that her mother told her about earlier in the movie.
You think?
Also, more symbolism.
Sorry.
I don't blame you, Dwebs. I really
Yes!
don't.
We get it! Splitting the tapestry was a bad thing that ties into this movie! Thank you for pounding it into my head, movie!
Jover, I get the feeling you don't really like it when movies.
Well, okay, look.
Says the guy who doesn't as well.
Like, that's the... Well, yeah, true, that is the point. You're much
Well, I mean, unfortunately, it's late at night here, so I can't yet.
Pedro does have a point, though. I'm sure way worse at this than I am. But I'll just say it like this.
Well, it's how it's expressed. I can't yell because otherwise I'd wake the whole family up.
Hey, Mor'Duu.
Hey, Mor'Duu. Okay, again, like I said, I will at the very least give credit to, because I actually do like the art direction of the movie. Again, the movie visually, the movie looks great. Like Merida's hair, because remember, hair is incredibly hard to do in CGI. Merida's hair always flows very natural. Like, obviously, it's not on the level of Rapunzel's hair in Tangled, because the hair is not exactly a major thing in the story or anything. But and this shot is really cool as well. Again, the movie doesn't earn the visual quality, but the movie does have striking visuals that belong in a much better story.
I think
so.
The weird thing is that when you get down to it, our bad guy is a bear. Beware. Yeah. Only here's the thing. Lotso from Toy Story 3, I feel, is a more intimidating villain than Mor'Duu. Like, and he's a toy bear, for crying in the bucket.
Well, Lotso is actually intimidating because he actually has a Godfather-like, type of persona. Like he's basically a mob boss. So... Not
only that, but the movie goes on about how Mor'Duu is a legendary bear who's invincible. Yet wait until you see how he's defeated. It's one of the lamest ways for a Disney villain to go. It's Jesus Christ. But yeah, there you go. We got away from Mor'Duu. Let's go back to the castle now. Even though it feels like we barely just left the place. Actually, we're actually going to wrap up one of the arcs.
Okay, so the idea now is that we're going to go back to the castle to stitch the
tapestry.
That's it, tapestry. To stitch the tapestry back together.
Because supposedly that will fix stuff. Like, I do get it, yes.
The problem is that, again, this opens up... Okay, that is incredibly tenuous of a connection, because what does the tapestry have to do with the witch's spell? The tapestry has nothing to do with... Okay, yeah, I get it. The idea is that in order for Merida to break the spell, she has to mend her bond, as in her bond with her mom. I get that. I do. The tapestry is supposed to be visual symbolism for that. I get it, everybody. I do get that. The problem is, you still need to actually make it make sense.
Guys, sorry, Pedro. The movie decided to introduce this other plot point about how now the alliance is over, and now something needs to be done before they kill each other.
That's okay, Jova, because we're basically about to we're going to conveniently bring back the marriage plot from the first act and conclude it now.
Yep, pretty much.
So we can also help. Okay, and I'm actually going to also, like, the guy from that analysis video put out a much better take on this scene that I will also paraphrase a bit, just so I can explain my point better. Let's hear what Merida has to say. Because this is bullshit. Remember that bit that Jova was bringing up earlier about Merida being forced into admitting that she's wrong even though she isn't? Well, this is it. This is most unorthodox.
Huh, guess the secret to being a queen really is just yelling loud.
Command a...
I'm sorry, Shira, could you repeat that?
I said that's how you command a room.
Huh.
Story time with Merida, now shut up.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Once upon a time, there was a movie. The end.
Fuck off. But you see, Jova, she did learn something from her mom after all.
Yeah, it's a legend, but it's also a legend you base your way of life around. So, you know, pay attention, maybe?
Okay, see, here's the thing. The idea behind this scene is that she's now using her mom's diplomacy to help them, you know, not fight anymore. And yeah, she's even appealing to their egos, as you're about to see, yeah.
See, now, if the movie had established that her mother's diplomacy was what they respected about her from the get-go, that would have been nice. Wasn't exactly established, though.
No, they didn't.
Like, I'll say this right now.
Stuck with the plot, maybe they could have.
I'll just say it right now. I actually would not mind this scene as much. Like, as far as I'm concerned, this is one of the better scenes of the movie. Like, if this had been the actual ending of the movie, I would have preferred it.
I would. There's just one big problem, Jova, though.
Yeah.
That I'm about. Not just that, Webs. Merida is about to basically say what is, in my opinion, the worst line in the movie.
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
You go. No, you haven't.
No,
Shut up.
We barely even see the rift.
You got brainwashed by Mark Andrews.
You technically, like you said, you technically followed the rules. You made a challenge yourself. Now, how are we going to solve that?
Jova, I need to point this out. Excuse me?
Oh, now her mother is okay with her not getting betrothed. What the hell?
Allow me to remind everybody, Merida was literally about to completely give up on everything that she believes in, just because, like, all that fighting that we saw in the first act to try to, you know, ask that they allow her to be how she wants to be. She was literally about to throw all this away and marry, just because she feels guilty about her mom turning into a bear.
Now, here's the real problem I have with this scene. You're right, did we miss the part where her mother all of a sudden decided, oh, suddenly I'm okay with not betrothing my daughter?
I think she's bad.
Yeah.
Dwibs, did we miss that?
Sir Jova, no, we haven't. No. You cannot rely on Dwibs' memory, Jova.
Where the hell is this coming from? Like, I get that they've been having some bonding time, but literally the most bonding they've had was fishing, and her mother saved her from another bear.
It's not even just that. I absolutely detest the whole, I decided to do what's right. What do you mean you decided what to do? I've been selfish. You haven't been selfish. Your mom was the one who was selfish. This movie's so completely lacking in self-awareness that it's quite astonishing. All right, Jova, now, I want to point to you a far better take on the scene from that video that I recommended earlier. Picture this, Jova. Imagine if, like you said, there was an actual establishment prior to that. The mom's best quality that people respect her for is her diplomacy, right? Like you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Imagine if Merida used her diplomacy skills, not some doing basically, you know, appealing to their egos because that's the best way to get to them, as you can see. However, here's another cool thing that she could have done. Why not also point out? Bring in. Why not have another? Instead of having a mother bear plot, why not have the second act be about her actually getting to know the princess? You know, her possible, husbands to be, and they could realize that maybe this is not what they want as well, because they're just being told that this is what they're supposed to do. And then during this scene, she could even bring them up and have them back her up and talk about how. Well, why can't we just, change tradition and, like, look at this. None of us are happy with this case. And do you really want... There you go, see? well, already this alternate version that guy came up with is already more interesting and doesn't have conflicting issues.
Let me just point out the biggest problem here, folks. This is literally how we could have just solved the movie here. And you know what, fine. It's actually an interesting way to solve the movie. Few problems. One, the build-up wasn't proper. Two, this isn't the actual end of the movie. The movie still wants to continue. It would have been so...
Oh, shit. The bear plot has creeped in again. We're back to the bear plot now. This movie is literally arguing with itself about what the plot is. Go ahead. Carry on, Java, carry on.
Oh, here we go. So you haven't checked on your wife this whole time? That's convenient.
Apparently not, Jova. Apparently not.
It's like the movie remembered, oh yeah, we need something to kick off the climax. So, yeah, there's literally only 23 minutes left in this movie. Whoopsie. What have I become? I'm a monster.
And now she thinks that she's the one that did that to her. And now she runs away because, of course.
It's every trick in the Extend Our Movie plot book.
Sorry, Jova. I don't speak bear.
You know, that's the thing. As far as I am concerned, the movie's main plot was about the clans seeing eye to eye. And that is pretty much dealt with. So I asked Zisk, why should I continue to care? Oh yeah, because Merida's mother may die. It's kind of like the movie forgot about that plot and then at the last minute brought it back.
Mm-hmm. This is the primary issue. This movie had the original director leave, and the director who replaced that director basically turned this into a half of a different movie, and that development cycle perfectly reflects in the final product. Perfectly.
Like the king, it's like the king's not even listening. He's he just heard Bear's oh, that's it, bear kill. Again, how has Scotland not collapsed with these idiots running the place?
Well, it's typical of media to depict British men in cartoons to be the typical
doofs.
Not so much doofuses, more like the beer drinking lovable oafs.
Oh, you free.
Yeah, fun fact, in the video game, they turn into bears right from the beginning off screen, and they're the ones that help you solve puzzle sections.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Oh, this bit here.
Now the triplets will finally be useful.
This poor woman.
So, Shiroi, now that we're pretty much in the third act, what were your thoughts on the second act and how we solved the problem with the clans?
With the what? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
She was during that scene.
What did you think
No, I mean, I couldn't hear what Jova was saying, yeah?
What were your thoughts on the second act and how we solved the plot involving the clans fighting with one another?
Well, I was here for that particular speech section, so
How about the fact that Merida literally completely breaks her entire character and decides to get married just to quote unquote mend the bond.
Yeah, this is
Like seriously, have you forgotten what kind of character you've created for this movie?
My major issue was that why was Merida's mother all of a sudden okay with her not going with the betrothal plan?
This is what we like to call contrived writing, aka the characters will change personalities whenever it's convenient for the plot.
And I will say this though, it's like, well, yes, cleavage joke there, very mature. You know, I will say this, despite, you know, some weird stuff here and there, I honestly would not have minded that scene because it was interesting. It was an actual interesting venture, you know, bringing up how the younger generation should be allowed to choose for themselves while compromising with the older generation and not just going with full-on betrothal here. Like, that was an interesting way to solve it. But no, the contrivances are what ruined it. And also, like I said...
Wait. That bit of tune just there, was Patrick Doyle copying one of the Star Wars songs?
Possibly. It's like I said before, though. Sure, do you agree with me that it feels like that should have been the end of the film rather than this extra conflict regarding the bear suddenly popping back into the frame?
The original idea in the first place.
I know, right?
The problem is, Jova, if that speech counted as mending the bond, the mom would have turned back into a human right there, completely naked in front of everybody. So that would have been a problem.
Well, okay, forget the whole mending the bond thing. As far as I'm concerned, the main plot was about this whole betrothal thing, but, well, actually, you know what, now that I think about it, concerning what we actually do learn, you do raise a good point. Them seeing eye to eye during that speech should have been what counted as mending the bond, seeing as how by that point they were completely in agreement with each other, so what the heck?
And guess what? The tapestry,
Mor'Duu,
like I said, has nothing to do with the bloody spell.
The tapestry is literally just a red herring, except, as far as I'm concerned, it's a red herring you could pretty much see in your sleep.
Yeah.
That is some amazing upper body strength you got there, Merida.
Haha.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm guessing the curse with them is also.
And then, I was honestly convinced the king would still say
Oh,
no.
Add some extra conflict into the movie.
The king is so stupid. I honestly thought that the king would still be like, "Oh no, that bear there's still Mor'Duu."
Also,
even though the bear is a completely different skin color, he's taller.
No, remember this. You have to say it how it's said in Spanish. Mor'Duu.
Don't you mean Scottish?
Whatever.
No, Mor'Duu. That's how they say it.
Mor'Duu.
There you go. See.
Anyway, though, by the way, folks, don't worry. You know, it's funny. They treat the whole thing with her mother as like, you know, a matter of life or death because her mother could lose herself. But when it comes to the triplets being turned into bears, still, aren't they cute? Extra merchandise and all that. No need to worry about them. I guess Merida assumes that if they fix the curse with her mom, that will immediately fix the curse with the triplets as well.
I love how the mom is. I love that the mom has clearly gotten wounded various times over the course of this movie, and yet we have never see anything because you know the movie's trying to keep itself G-rated, or at the very least PG.
I mean, you know, with PG, you could have wounds and everything here and there, so it feels like they're being lazy more than anything. Okay, folks, ready to see how our villain is defeated? The guy who's supposed to be a legendary immortal bear?
Well, to be fair, they never said he was immortal.
No, actually they did earlier in the, earlier, remember? They talked about how he's a legendary immortal bear. And that's how he gets defeated by just a rock falling on him.
Good job.
Hey, I'm here to show that you freed me, I guess.
Apparently.
You freed me from my curse, I guess.
Oh no, it's...
and now he becomes a wisp too.
What's the name of a Scottish big city.
Glasgow.
Merida, you will go to Glasgow.
Glasgow.
Oh, and of course, the sun rises on the sacred day.
You will go to the Glasgow system. I
No.
know it's not called the system, but it is now, because
No.
I say so. Yeah, sorry, Merida, the tapestry has nothing to do with it. Guess what does it? She just has to apologize.
They
I
literally...
know,
Maybe the tapestry was just symbolism.
I'm not kidding. All she has to do to break the curse is apologize to her mom. Never
Also
mind
for...
Never mind the fact that the mom, like Jove has been mentioning, is the one that was actually in the wrong. The movie now is under the impression that Merida was always in the wrong. So now we have to completely have her... Yeah, exactly. Apologize to her and blah, 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 blah.
You know what this is like? This is like Eddie Murphy's 1,000 Words here. The main character is supposedly a jerk, but he's not really that much of a jerk. And yet the way he's...
I'm not finished.
Let me finish, Dribs. The movie says he was a jerk, but he really wasn't, so he gets punished and all that. And the way he solves the curse is by a very arbitrary stuff. Like, in his case, it's to say, I forgive you to his dead father, which had nothing to do with him being a jerk whatsoever. Whereas here, it's her apologizing to her mother.
Hey, Shira, did you notice how every time the mom, quote-unquote, becomes a full-grown bear, even in mind, her eyes become fully black?
Mm-hmm.
Tangled Season 2 did this better.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, again, Merida...
How many seasons did Tangled have?
3.
5.
No, 3.
No, the showrunners always said from the beginning that they planned a 3-season story, a 3-season arc.
I think it may have felt like 5 to you because they did have some hiatuses, but no, it was 3.
Yeah, but technically it's 3 seasons. Well, look at it this way, Joe. At least it wasn't like a 2-year hiatus, unlike another TV show I can mention.
I'm back, dearie, by the plot's right in power.
My body is completely unscathed without any wounds for some reason.
And also, I've got a white streak of hair now.
Well, she always had that.
Just that the way she had her hair done, it kind of hid that. So.
Not to worry, guys. Reverse Rubber Bear is over.
You know what's also sad? The actors. This is a fantastic cast that's being wasted. I love Emma Thompson, and the fact that she's being wasted in this character is terrible.
Well, I mean, everyone's being kind of wasted.
Well, that's what I just said. That's very good. Maybe you should.
Well, I mean, not just the cast, even.
Oh, the animators, you mean? Patrick Doyle.
Oh, everybody, yeah.
Whatever.
Oh, that's what you're a big fan of Patrick Doyle. What do you think of this score?
It's okay. It definitely gets across that it's Scottish. I mean, he's Scottish himself, so. Although I've heard better Patrick Doyle scores. I mean, my favourite score of his is Goblet of Fire.
And they
made a new tapestry
of her bear form. What? What? Why?
Okay. Is this like okay? The special editions of Star Wars Episode 6.
Oh, look at that, Julie.
I was just like, can I finish?
Go ahead.
It's like that bit in Episode 6 where they edit Aiden Christensen in to be Ghost Anakin.
Yeah.
It's like I actually loved my mother better when she was a bear or something.
Yeah.
Nice. Notice that you're right. The woman at the very least now gets to be gets in a relationship with the muscle guy from earlier. You know, the one that was used for that SpongeBob joke. So there you go. At the very least, she has a happy ending.
Ask me if I care.
Well, me and Shiroi kind of care about that woman, so we need this.
As far as I'm concerned,
where did the witch go?
Drop from the plot to webs. You see, the modus operandi of this movie is whenever something is no longer needed for the plot,
a wisp
just appears from existence. Well, Wisp. Goodbye, Wisp. Okay. And that was.
I live with you.
I cannot be bothered to remember the soundtrack. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, like half of it. But
I don't. Jesus Christ, this movie.
Directed by
Are there any credit sequences in this movie?
No, there aren't. We're done basically.
What a mess this movie is. Say what you will about it supposedly being decent or forgetful or just there, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a failure. Like, it suggested it was going to be the newest, greatest addition to the Disney princess franchise, but it's arguably the weakest, to the point where I'd say that Merida was better in the Wreck-It Ralph sequel movie than she is in her own movie. She is better in Once Upon a Time than she is in this movie, because this movie pretty much rakes her over the coals here and there. Oh, wait, hold on. There's a post-credit thing with a wisp. Dedicated with love and gratitude to Steve Jobs, our partner, mentor, and friend. Yeah. Oh, so this movie was dedicated to Steve Jobs. I'm sure he appreciates that.
Yeah, clearly.
Oh my god, it's funny. Literally the first thing that gets suggested to me after the credits begin is Legend of Mor'Duu. Mor'Duu.
Yeah. Hello,
I guess they went to the core, and I was like, wait a minute, that's not Disney.
See, Jova, even Disney Plus is saying, okay, you've seen Brave, now watch the short.
But
so, continue final thoughts.
Yeah, oh god, I'm sorry, but this movie is just bad as far as I'm concerned. Like, it is not the worst, per se. But in terms of actually establishing messages and following through with them, I consider it bad. A lot of the characters aren't endearing, which unfortunately makes them come off as, well, jerks more than anything. And even by the third act, as far as I'm concerned, Merida's mother is, well, she's unlikable until they magically make her likable without any character development whatsoever. Like, just out of the blue, by the time of the speech scene, her mother suddenly says, "Oh no, honey, you don't need to betroth yourself. We can work something else out," which... well, yeah, they managed to work something else out, which apparently was the mother's idea, so, yeah, the whole trying to betroth Merida thing was pointless in the long run of things, despite the fact that that's pretty much the main driving force of this movie. I'm sorry, Merida's mother, Queen Eleanor, is just... ugh. Come on, Pixar, you can do better than this. You can do way better than this. The music is there. The songs are forgettable. Not even really that good. Well, okay, maybe the songs are fine for the moment, but they're incredibly forgettable. I guess if I can be positive about one thing, the animation is pretty good here and there. So yeah, kudos on that. The arrow scene, that was also good. The speech scene would have been good if it weren't for the plot contrivances that we brought up here and there. Issues there and there. The triplets, I'm sorry, they just weren't funny to me. The closest was with the bear scene. And yes, I get it, Maudie's supposed to be the one who's constantly on the receiving end of comedy relief, but I can't even bring myself to feel sorry for her because she is just there. And stuff that isn't just there is done so mediocre-like here. Again, as far as I'm concerned, Once Upon a Time had to, reestablish this plot better than the actual movie could. The villain is among one of the lamest villains ever. Sure, he's threatening in presence, kind of, but he has very little presence. He has, I think 7 minutes of screen time, tops. 10 if I'm being very, very generous here and there.
It's like Fan Stick. The villain shows up at the end and
which is interesting, Joa, because 7 minutes is how long his short is.
Well,
so he gets 14 minutes of screen time. Congratulations.
Yeah, overall, though, this movie is just a disappointment. It is one of many marks of missteps in Pixar's history, especially in their Dark Age era. They seem to be kind of coming out of that, but we're not completely out of the woods yet. They're kind of in the stance where they can make a good one, but they can also make a bad one as well. So hopefully eventually they can get back to consistently making good stuff here.
to give credit, right now Pete Docter has started recently his reign as the new creative head of Pixar, with Onward being his first movie that was entirely produced under his tenure without John Lasseter's involvement, and it was a fantastic movie. So at the very least, we're off to a good start with Pete Docter.
Yes. Let's see. As for the other characters, Merida's father, I actually kind of do like him. I find him more likable than her mother. And, hell, it feels like he has more development naturally than the mother does, and his development is mainly in the last third of the movie. The other guys, the suitors and whatnot, they're fine, but like I said, they're not endearing in the slightest. Again, they kind of were becoming endearing in the third act, but too little too late. So there you go, Brave. With the major elements, it fails. With the medium elements, it's mediocre. And with the minor elements, they're just there. It's safe to say, and I'd say it's fair to deem Brave as a failure.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
Go ahead then.
It was a movie. Stuff happened, I guess. It was set in Scotland, and okay, to be a bit more constructive, if I can be, this was just a nothing movie for me. I mean, there's nothing remarkable. There's nothing god awful. It's just, I watched it, and well, I've forgotten half the scenes already now. The score's okay, and the animation is pretty good. Well, I mean, it's Pixar. What do you expect? And as like Pedro said, the art direction is very good. It does look different from Pixar's other movies, but unfortunately, what lets it down is the plots. Whether it was Brenda Chapman or Mark Andrews fucking something up, I don't know. But
it was both.
Yeah, what we got here was it's like two visions cancelled each other out and we're left with a big void of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't call it Pixar's worst. I still would rather if you tie me to a chair and force me to watch a bad Pixar movie.
Yeah.
Or a lesser Pixar movie. I'd rather watch this over Cars 2.
Yeah. For the record, everybody. Cars 2 was so bad that Dwiz was, whenever the spy scenes were happening, Dwiz was literally going, "Can we get back to the racing, please?" And this is Dwiz, who loves spy movies. So
yes, but Pedro, that's the thing. Cars is not a spy series.
Well, now it is.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you're trying to change genres midway through, it's not even like Fast and Furious, where at least gradually became. It gradually became the ridiculous, over-the-top thing we know.
And at least they still had the street races every now and then.
Cars, well, Hobbs and Shaw didn't, but
that's a spin-off, though.
Yeah, but Cars 2, it just tried to do it mid-movie, and that didn't work. And I mean, at least this movie doesn't have genre shifting. It had plot shifting, but not genre shifting, at least. So at least stayed in its own thing of being a historical fantasy. But that's about it. It's a movie that does the basics, but that's just about it. That's it.
As for me, one thing I'd like to point out from that ending, by the way, did you notice how Queen Eleanor now suddenly has an outfit that's much like Merida's? And she has her hair completely, all natural and so apparently Eleanor right now has completely foregone the whole traditionalism life that she's always been led, and now she's become a free spirit like her daughter for absolutely no goddamn reason.
It's like she was brainwashed into becoming a different character.
Yeah, exactly. Like, seriously. Like,
maybe the curse technically worked and it made her a different person, but the bear was supposed to be like a cocoon for her emerging as a butterfly and newly changed person.
So what are you trying to tell us, Mark? That both Merida and Eleanor were in the wrong and they need to become the opposite of who they are? Because you were literally about to have Merida accept the marriage, and you literally turned Eleanor into a completely different person by the end. Like,
Oh god,
seriously.
this is like a Goofy movie gone horribly wrong.
But yeah, this movie could have been a great movie if it actually committed to the traditionalism versus modernism angle. It could have properly fleshed it out better, written the characters better so that they're a bit more understandable, especially the mom. But no, because of the fact that this movie has basically two plots, with a third one reeking in at the last minute as well. Basically, in just a 90-minute movie, it reeks of a movie that's completely at odds with itself. This movie has no idea what the fuck it wants to be. A third of it is traditionalism versus modernism. The other third is Mother Bear. And then in the final act, we have kind of a mix of both, but at the same time also bringing in new stuff. And it's just so completely messy, like Jova said. It's a mess, a complete fucking mess.
How bad is it that, honestly, at this point, I wouldn't mind news of a live-action remake, because a live-action remake might actually be able to make the story better, if Once Upon a Time is shown anything.
And yeah, and the fact that John and considering what we know now from John Lasseter, yeah, like it was probably incredibly horrible that of how considering how John Lasseter treated the female employees at Pixar, it must have been really hard for Brenda Chapman to even make this.
Although surprisingly, she still seems to stick to the whole story that supposedly this thing did match up with her vision, even after Lasseter getting exposed. So
yeah, apparently she's still she now has complete freedom to say it, but apparently no, she's insisting that the movie, some changes aside, apparently is basically the movie that she was for. Because remember, like I've said, the bear plot was her idea as well.
I mean, well, if this was her vision, then I'm sorry, but it sucks.
And this is the woman that directed Prince of Egypt. Like,
what? Really?
Yes.
Oh no!
I wouldn't have believed you.
She was also one of the heads of the story of the original Lion King.
Oh my god, this is like how Linda.
Well, you don't like that movie either. So.
Well, guys, remember Simon Wells also directed Prince of Egypt.
Well, she was one of the heads of story.
Okay.
Well, guys, remember Simon Wells directed Prince of Egypt, and he went on to direct that wonderful bundle of awesomeness, Mars Needs Moms.
This is like how Linda Wolverton went.
But one of them, was Brenda Chapman.
This is like how Linda Wolverton went from writing the genius that is the Lion King to the schlock that is Maleficent.
Beauty and the Beast. Don't forget, she also wrote that.
But of course.
Oh
boy, that hit hard.
It's it's absolutely sad, because this movie could have been great, because there are hints of greatness here. The art, like we've said, the art direction is fantastic. The movie looks unique compared to all other Pixar movies.
Heck, all other Disney princess movies at that. I mean, it was literally the first ever Pixar Disney princess movie.
And it could have been a really interesting take on animated princess movies. But no, of course not. A conflicted vision where the first director wanted a distinctly female lens. The other one was like, no. Mark Andrews was like, no. Gender has nothing to do with this movie.
Should have had everything to do with this movie.
Basically, Shiroi, to give you an idea, like you can watch that video that I recommended earlier. Here, I'll link it to you while I'm speaking. Basically, Shiroi, he even puts back to back two clips, one from one of the animators saying, and I quote, "One of the things that I love about Queen Eleanor is that she's a diplomat, and she's supposed to be a working mom." Because remember, that was the whole idea. It was inspired by Brenda Chapman's relationship with her daughter. So much like Brenda Chapman, Eleanor is supposed to be a working mom, And then right after that, he puts it right next to the clip of Mark Andrews saying, "Gender has nothing to do with this movie." so it's really funny to watch those two clips back to back. But yeah, this movie is a freaking mess. But it could have been great. The animation is fantastic, and like I said, the music is. I actually enjoy the score, not the songs, the score. Because the songs are so vanilla that they might as well not even be there. Yeah. So it's a tragic failure because this movie could have been great. It does have great ideas here, but it doesn't use them. It doesn't use them for anything. Like it could well, okay. It has half of it has good ideas, specifically the first half. When the brother bear the brother idea should have been rejected immediately. If there was one thing that John Lasseter should have if there was one thing that John Lasseter should have said to Brenda was, Brenda, this whole mother bear idea, this is kind of dumb.
Okay,
Can we just stick to the mother and daughter relationship since you said that's what's the main thing that inspired this movie?
I'm going to actually be weird on this, and like I said before, the mother bear thing could have worked. Could have worked if they had tied it in better with the overall theme of stuff. The problem was that they did not. Honestly, they could have stuck with the whole mother-daughter thing, and it probably still would have sucked going off of how this movie carries out a lot of its plot points. So I consider the mother bear thing more a symptom as opposed to a cause of problem with this movie.
Yeah. There you go, Shiro. Feel free to watch it later.
Sure.
It's it's one of those things where this movie has great ideas in it. And who knows, maybe Brenda's original version would have been better. It still wouldn't have been that great because, the mother bear idea, I would argue, is dumb. Even with better execution, I still don't find the mother bear idea a good idea at all. Even it would have been so far more interesting if we just had, a completely character-driven movie and toned down on the magic fantasy aspects. Because,
So you mean maybe give us what the original trailer had suggested?
Well, the original trailer suggested a high-octane magical fantasy, so no.
Well, I'm not quite sure there was magic in the original trailer. I just recall Merida running off with her horse, scouring over the lands of Scotland and all that.
Well, okay, but regardless of the marketing, though, I would have been much more interested in an entirely character-driven, dialogue-heavy movie about these two main characters discussing and debating their ideologies and coming to a middle ground and learning from each other. Instead, no, we have to have Mother Bear. That's the problem.
I think the main issue with the mother bear thing is, like I said, it doesn't feel like it contributes to the overall message. Again, let me remind you, the bonding we get between the mouth for her mother becomes the bear is outwitting Dad and company, escaping, going to the witch's cottage, fishing, and then rescuing each other from Deadly Bear. That is pretty much it.
Yeah. Anyway, to end this, basically, everybody, this movie could have been great. It could have, but it's not. Because it's a freaking mess. So yeah, that's about it. Shiroi, close us out.
I don't have much else to say, really. I mean, the first act is great.
Actually, let me rephrase my passing the baton on to you. Shiroi, would you please give an opinion / analysis on this movie through a distinctly female lens?
Oh God.
Oh God. Please,
I don't want to.
Please, God.
But this movie dropped that, so whatever.
Okay, good.
But no, the first act I actually, drop the lens, damn it. I do wear glasses, so yes, drop the lens. But no, I actually do like the first act. It's nice to see, actual character interaction, because I know characters don't necessarily have to speak to have good interaction. I mean, the Mania shorts and a lot of old cartoons are pretty much, solid proof of that. But this was a story that really needed verbal communication, because this kind of plot is solved. This kind of a story can be easily solved in most cases by just talking. We didn't need this whole outlandish thing with magic and bears, and it's just I know Disney movie, but the original idea for the movie was better, and I'm not sure, again, the director's words are very confusing from both sides, even, not just in how they conflict with each other, but what each of them has said as individuals. I just... No, I really do feel like the message was completely lost. If they...
I'm to remind that technically the bear idea was Brenda's.
So technically that was part of the original idea.
I was gonna say everything was confusing. Like maybe she was supposed to talk, like Brother Bear did, But although actually, just remembering, to be fair, only the bears could understand them, and the other animals, the humans, couldn't. So okay, there's that. I just remembered that, so I'll scratch that. But jeez, this again. I don't have much to say that the others haven't already said, so it's just, they just should have kept up what the first act did for the rest of the movie. And the whole, is it Mor'Duu? Is that... that was unnecessary. I don't really... They could have had the mum become a bear and do, like, the whole brother bear thing in CG, I guess, but, I don't know, but that's it. Honestly, it's just I expected a very different movie because from the trailers, this was a movie I was excited about seeing. I don't know why I didn't see it in cinemas initially. I honestly don't remember. It was so long ago. But oh boy, would I have probably been disappointed then.
Oh god, Troy, I was very disappointed when I saw it. Here I thought it was going to be a nice little well, okay, to be fair, as the trailers came about, we kind of got a better idea of what the movie was going to be like, but no one could have predicted that Pixar would have fallen this much on their face with the movie.
Because, like, Merida seemed like a really cool princess. Like,
yeah, except apparently the plot is making her not as cool a princess, even though that's kind of what she's recognized as in pretty much every other material, the rowdy princess. But you make a
also
oh god.
Oh no, yeah, no, like personality wise she's great, and okay, there was one thing I do remember that I wanted to say just to add on to the whole, both the mother and Merida. Sorry, I don't remember the mother's name.
I don't blame
changing their world views, from that one moment onwards, like to the end of the movie. That is completely like
bollocks.
I don't want to say unrealistic because it's a fictional bloody world, but it's terrible because this isn't just a matter of simple opinions. This is the entire worldview of two individuals. Those can change among people, but that takes a lot of time and a lot of learning, not a couple of days across a movie. This is just...
But sure,
like, it goes outside the realm of using your imagination. It's just like, this just doesn't happen at all, ever.
But sure, they fished. They had such a great mother-daughter time fishing. Isn't that enough for you? Like, fishing?
Oh, none of that for me, damn it.
Oh, God.
No, you can't change somebody's entire... You can, but not in a couple of days.
Oh, I think it was like maybe like most of one day at best, I think.
Like, if they were going to do this kind of plot, it would have been better as a series, not a movie. Not one bloody movie. But yeah, that's all I have to say, honestly. This is just something I didn't expect, and I wish I got what I expected.
Don't you see, Shuri? It subverted your expectations.
Sometimes subversion isn't good, okay?
Exactly.
I wouldn't say that this is so much subversion, more so the fact that this was this was clearly a movie that was made by two directors who had conflicting visions.
That's the thing. It technically fits the definition of subverting expectations.
It wasn't intentional subversion, though, so yeah.
Exactly. Okay, fair enough, yeah. It wasn't intentional subversion, but it just falls under that umbrella.
Whatever, that was brave.
But we're not done yet. Maybe, just maybe, this short can redeem things? I'm not getting my hopes up.
So yeah, let's check out Legend of Mor'Duu. 3, 2, 1, click.
All right, let's wrap up this brave expedition with the brave short.
All right, time for backstory / lore. Back to this. Now so what's up with the thing with the rocks? You might wonder.
Oh, how nice! They form Mor'Duu.
Ah.
And yeah, the witch is the one telling us the story.
Oh, we're in first person.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, she's probably the person who would know the most about it anyway.
Yeah, but seriously, I'm half expecting a pistol to come out of the camera's point of view.
I'm more reminded of the salesman from Aladdin.
It really...
I can see that.
Yeah, definitely. A little closer. A little closer. No!
Stop staring at me.
See, they're even doing that thing. See.
Okay.
Mind, I've got Hardcore Henry as a future film pick. So
I'm already getting the inkling that this should have been in the movie.
Oh, let's see.
Uh-huh.
Just what?
Well, that's clearly a sign that he is going to be a troublemaker.
Ah, so
yeah, he's in the shadows with glowing eyes.
So that explains Cora for the first half of the series.
Pretty much.
Yep, because as we all know, those go very well, don't they? No backstabbing involved here.
I guess he figured that they could share equally.
Nah, I'm sure my sons will get along just perfectly peachy.
Actually, 3 of your sons did get along. It was just your eldest son who didn't. Go figure.
It's always in a group of 4 as well.
There you go. See, that's how that stunt from the movie got cut. There you go. See, he broke the bond as well. See, it's all connected.
I mean, the problem is that even with that, all we really have linking them is, oh, shattered and whatnot. Like, I mean, Merida and her mother never really got this bad a split over each other. At best, it was just a big spat that they had, which ended with her mother throwing the bow into the fire, as opposed to Merida declaring that she was going to take over all of Scotland.
The green tint, the slowdown, the rain.
It's this is mostly just here for lore purposes, Jova.
Which is again why it probably would have been better if it was, well, on the one hand, if it were in the movie, I probably would have critiqued it for not really having that much connection overall, but on the other hand, it would have given us more to know about our villain.
It's one of those it's there if you want it kind of things.
Wait.
Where they pushed him in and he drowned. The end.
So, essentially, the will of Wisps is what led him, even though, I'm sorry, weren't the Wisps supposed to be good guys or things that would help proper beings? Oh.
Maybe they're kind of a neutral party, they just kind of do whatever.
Oh, look at that! She was the one who gave him the spell.
So this witch has apparently been alive for centuries, it seems.
Not only that, but you do realize that this means that she is indirectly the cause for...
Also, this is meant to be a serious flashback. We could do about the Crow's idea of arcs.
Yeah, true. Not even just that. Like, I also find it to be a bit cheaply made when it comes to the hand drawn artwork, because it's mostly drawings and they don't move much. It seems very. The CGI part is of course as peachy as it can be. But the hand-drawn part of it looks very cheaply made. Go ahead.
It's pretty much just the equivalent of an animated comic book. Like, you ever seen those little videos where you see animated comic books? It's basically still art with the mouse moving.
Let's face it. That's kind of what the 60s Marvel cartoons were like, basically. So.
No. Even less animated than those. Way less animated than those. Like,
wow.
Let me put it like this. It's essentially just moving a camera over, say, comic book pages and animating the mouths.
Well, that's what they kind of did in the 60s cartoons, though. Like the Captain America
cartoons. Yeah, but how can a bear be king of a kingdom?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I had a question. Was one of the I wouldn't be surprised if it is, but was one of the main complaints about the Brave movie was that they didn't explain the backstory enough. Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure this short was already being planned in early production, even when the movie came out. So I'm pretty sure this wasn't like a result of backlash or anything. This was always planned, most likely, as a bonus.
Okay.
I seriously doubt that there was this big desire for a Mor'Duu backstory, and that's why they made this short for the Blu-ray. I doubt that.
To be fair, that was a critique of the movie, so it's not outside the realm of possibility that the reason the short was made was because of that. Especially seeing as how it's not like,
oh, it's you. Hello.
He just wanted to come here for a drink of water.
So there you go. Turns out it was him who came to visit the witch. He just wanted a drink of water. Yeah.
Wow, it's like the story itself admits that there wasn't really much point for this to happen.
So yeah, the basic gist of that, he was evil. Then he tried to get a spell. That spell turned him into a bear, and he's been hunting everybody ever since. And then he got killed at the end of Brave.
It's pretty much what we all.
Okay.
That's the thing. We pretty much just got an extended version of what the movie already told us. Like, we knew that, one of the sons wanted more power, so he became a bear, and, apparently destroyed his kingdom as a result.
Seriously, what is up with this witch always turning people into bears? Like, seriously, someone has to stop this woman. This woman is a fucking menace.
Pedro, it's their fault for not being more specific with what they want. You know how beings like this woman work.
Yeah.
They need to be very specific.
You weren't specific enough, and now you're a bear.
Yes.
Guys, final thoughts on this short?
Well,
it was unnecessary.
I mean, it was fine, but I'd have liked it a bit more if that bloody parrot didn't keep ejecting. I mean, it's like the parrot interjecting stuff into funny stuff into an otherwise serious tale. That's like how some people see the MCU if they aren't if they're basing it off just a couple of movies.
Okay, Dwibs, it's a crow, not a parrot.
It's a bird. There.
All right, that's Dwibs' thoughts, I guess. Jova.
Well, we basically just got told what we already knew, just an extended version. I guess the one detail was, it was the witch, the same witch from before who gave him a spell, which I guess kind of makes sense because, once again, it's bear-related.
But Jova, now you know the exact specific situation and how the stone tablet got broken. See? That was entirely important.
I think the biggest point of contention is the animation or lack thereof. It's animated like, how, animated comics these days go, and I do mean the official variants, where you may have, a sweeping motion where maybe you'll see, an arm or so moving, while mainly the focus is on the mouths or whatnot. I mean, for that kind of thing, it works, but for this, it just feels cheap and lazy, and this is one of the shortest shorts I've ever seen from Disney. Maybe it's because it feels like it has so little substance to stand on its own, but man, is it weak. If this was made as supposedly a response to the backlash regarding us not knowing much about the villain, what about a failure this is? We don't know anything more about him except that he was the eldest son, and literally, apparently, he didn't have the redeeming qualities that his younger brothers had. Go figure. Okay. Next.
Me. Well, that was a thing, I guess. It's not particularly insulting or offensive. It's just kind of there. It exists. It gives us some extra details, I guess, but it doesn't actually tell me why the fuck I should give a crap about all of this stuff. So, whatever. Jiroi.
I didn't really need this information, and I'm somebody who really likes lore for things. This was unnecessary because it doesn't really add like that much context to. Well, it adds some context to the movie, but this is stuff I could have just read in one paragraph or in a tweet. I mean, I'm sure some people enjoyed this, but this was unnecessary for me.
All right. A very avid fan of Brave.
All right, everybody, and that was the Brave home video package.
But we're not done with the Brave franchise yet.
Now we're gonna do the Brave tie-in video game.
Dun dun dun.
Goody.
So tune in for that, everybody.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.